Hi there, folks, and welcome back to March or Die TV. I am not the Stress Master, if that's who you were expecting. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I am, in fact, the Tumor. I am the Tumor not because I'm malignant, but simply because at one point in my life, I marched spot number B9. So Justin is away for a couple of weeks, and the silly boy has left me the keys to the castle. So I'm going to have a go at this thing for a bit. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to react to my all-time favorite show. For those of you who watch the March or Die podcast, you'll know that is, because I talk about it all the time, is the 1992 Crossmen, Songs for the Planet Earth. So this particular show, a little bit about it is it was the first part of a 3-year trilogy of shows for the Crossmen. They placed 6th this year with a score of, I think it was 92-2 off the top of my head. Quite a big year for the Crossmen. They'd propelled themselves into the top 6. It was also the first year that they beat the Vanguard. It was also the first year they beat the Phantom Regiment. So they started dancing with the big boys, so to speak. So this is a show that is just stuck with me kind of since the first time I ever saw it. Bit of a weird one, actually, because I've got no affiliation or relation to the Crossmen whatsoever. I never marched the Crossmen. In fact, up until I marched Kids Grove Scouts in 2016, I never even knew anybody who marched in the Crossmen. I certainly didn't know anybody who marched in the Crossmen in 1992 when I was on tour. That being said, I remember the first time I saw this show, it just absolutely grabbed me right here, and it's been stuck in my head and earwormed ever since. So part of the reason I think why I like this show is that I think it was actually quite musically ahead of its time, because I think when you watch it, if for those who haven't seen it, and perhaps maybe those that haven't seen it that are of a younger generation that maybe not familiar with what we were doing back in the 80s and 90s, I think this particular show would actually stand up in today's DCI. I think you could quite easily put this show on the field today and it wouldn't be out of place. Visually, yeah, okay, it'd be quite a bit different visually, but this is a show that I think that would actually benefit from what we can now do with electronics as well. So without further ado, I'm going to well, actually no, with a bit of further ado. So we always mention it, we're really trying to grow this channel, so I would appreciate that if you could take just a second of your time. Somewhere down below here is the like and subscribe button. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. If you ring the bell, what it does, it lets you know when we're putting out new content, so you don't ever miss anything here from March or Die TV. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps us out an absolute ton. However, if you do want to dig into your pockets a little bit, we do have other options as well that you can use to support our channel. Number one then is we have a membership scheme. Information is down here somewhere in the communities tab. You can join. There's 3 different membership tiers, and each membership tier has different levels of perks, if you will, that you get. And then also we have a merchandise store as well. So that being said, thank you for tuning in. And in the meantime, what I'd like to now do is just say, sit back, relax, grab yourself a cold drink or a snack or whatever, and enjoy the 1992 Crossmen, Songs for the Planet Earth. All right, then, let's try this again. And I say again because what you don't realize is that this is about the 14th time that I've recorded this. I'm learning as I go. So, folks, let's get going. 1992 Crossmen, Songs for the Planet Earth. Here we go. Right, I'm going to say something here real quick, and I'll go back to the beginning. We'll watch it from the beginning. So, those of you who know me know that I'm a horn guy. I can appreciate good percussion, but I couldn't tell you the technical ins and outs of it. That being said, so I can tell you some interesting little trivia tidbits, if you will, of the time. So 1990 was when DCI went from 2 valves to 3 valves. We're still in the key of G, but we can now have that 3rd valve. That's important because on the 2 valve horns, there's certain notes that you just physically couldn't play. So adding that 3rd valve did allow us to have the full range of notes. So you'll note as well throughout the video, and if you ever watch other shows from from these years, that the cores all tend to have a mixture of 2 and 3 valve horns, and there's a reason for that, because DCI put in a rule when they instituted when they made 3 valves legal, that cores couldn't upgrade their entire horn line in one go. They could do one section a year. So in theory, it would take 4 years for a core to fully, update their horn line. And the reason for that was kind of twofold. Number one, the instrument manufacturers just couldn't keep up with the demand, and number two, it also prevented your wealthier cores, so the likes of your Blue Devils and your Santa Clara Vanguard, which was wealthy at that time, and yes, your Star of Indiana. Though, a little thing that a lot of people don't know about Star of Indiana is that when they folded in 1993, they were still using the same 2-valve horns that they had in 1985. They just took care of their shit. But yeah, so you'll see a mixture of 2 and 3-valve instruments. In this particular shot, though, this guy right here and his buddies on either side of him there, you'll note that they're playing kind of a weird horn, and that's called an alto horn. So these are 3-valve instruments that they're playing, and the alto horn was this weird horn that Kanstel came out with the idea being that it was sort of kind of a bridge instrument between the brightness of the trumpets and then the kind of shrilliness, I guess is kind of the word to describe for it, of the mellophones. And the idea behind it is that prior to us going to what we now pretty much have all mellophone lines, cores had multiple instruments within their alto section. So you would have had French horns, you would have had mellophones, you would have had flugelhorns. In some cases, some cores even marched horns specifically for them. So, for instance, the Blue Devils had an instrument called the meophone, which essentially looked like it was a really long instrument. There's some really famous shots of it in their 1988 show, I think it was. Anyway, it was this really weird instrument, but the Blue Devils were the only ones that played it. Essentially what you have here, though, isn't actually a usable instrument. It's just a mellophone without the mellophone bell. So it was around for, I think, on the first run of the 3-valve G horns, and then they never made them again. So I will go back to the beginning now because I'm a man of my word. I'll try not to interrupt everything. Some things that I really like about this show is, I mean, they're setting a really nice mood here, both musically and visually. They have a very, very wide dynamic range, this particular brass line, as evidence there. And this horn line was bloody loud. And I'm telling you right now, this melody has been earwormed into my ear since 1992. Tell you what as well, I think they had a really underrated color guard that year as well. They really visually sold the aesthetic of the show. There were a bunch of Philly girls as well. They were a little bit scary, if I'm honest with you. It was also the first time I've ever seen a color guard actually have hairography in their show. Obviously it's a common thing with the Blue Devils now, but Love the contrast between the moving line and the altos. Bloody hell, Contras. So now we're going to have a change of mood. Watch for the visual reflection of what the brass is playing in the color guard. Gone from bright to really dark, just like that. Another thing about that shot I like as well is you see about 5 different makes of contrabass in that one shot. We made do with what we had back then. I love how musically uncomfortable this is. Different foreboding melodies in each different section. Every section's got their own melody, and none of them work together, but they somehow do. I also like, though, how that whole piece was dissonant, but ended in that major chord, as if to say, you know, hey, there's hope. Had a really, really good pit they did as well that year. You also may be hearing a thumping bass drum. That's actually not the concert bass. That's actually bass number 5. It's like a heartbeat of the show. Of course, bass number 5 was about 96 inches. It was just an enormous drum. Alright, here you go, percussionists. This is what you came for. Marching with a broken arm, she was marching her age out, come hell or high water. Now let's do a bit more of an experiment with that visual velocity. Again, this is new for the early 90s. Of all this show, my favorite part of this show is the brass entrance coming in after the percussion feature. The percussion feature keeps going, you layer the brass on top, and they just keep building all the way to the end of the piece. I think it's beautiful. Here we go. Just listen to that across the line. Listen to the balance between the sections. Very nice flag and body work there as well. And now we're coming into the ending, so a little bit of trivia. This is the 5th version of the ending of this show. If you go onto the Crossmen alumni page on YouTube, they've got a video about the endings of this show. But this was by far the most effective. So I could have done without the guy shouting Crossman drumline at the end, but hey-oh, what can you do? It was what we did back then. So yeah, my favorite show, 1992 Crossmen. The ending, I think, perfectly it just sets the stage for 1993, and then of course 1994, because this was part of a 3-part trilogy for the Crossmen. Why do I like this show? I like shows that I can remember. I like shows that make me feel a multitude of emotions. This one definitely does. Also, it's just had that certain, it's an overused term, but it just had that certain X factor. There was just something about this show that I really, really, really liked. Also, for the Crossmen, competitively, this was quite a propelling show for them. It was the first time in top 6, first time they beat Vanguard, first time they beat Phantom Regiment. So it was really quite a big deal, and it put Crossmen into the conversation of, potentially, competing for, well, what we now know as medalist positions. We didn't have medals back then. It was either one or you didn't. So, but hey, it is what it is. So, so that's it. If you like this, I'd love to see your comments below. Let me know what you think. Furthermore, if you disagree with me and you think I'm a complete idiot, by all means as well, make a comment as well. Let me know what your favorite show is, and we'll have a look at that. As I said, Justin's away for a couple of weeks, so you're stuck with me. Hopefully I get a little bit better at editing these videos, so on and so forth, and making them, but a little bit, it's funny because I've been doing the podcast for weeks now, and it's no big deal for me being in front of the camera when it's me and Justin, but when it's just me, it feels just completely different. So, but yeah, if you like what we do and you'd like to support it, so there's multiple ways you can do that. The easiest and free way that you can do it is hit the like, subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and they'll let you know when we put out more videos here on March or Die TV. Further to that, we also have a community section, and you can actually join as a channel member. There's different levels of membership. And then, of course, there's also merch. You can buy merch from us as well in our merch store, and all of those are located somewhere in the community section here. So thank you very much. I will hopefully look to get something on possibly over the weekend or early next week. In the meantime, thank you for your time, and make sure you march on.